Imagine a world where humanity is united against villains. These villains have special powers, special abilities that can cause a lot of destruction. Over years and years of fighting these villains, we've developed a lot of certain abilities of our own to counteract them. Now, these villains come in many different shapes and sizes, so we need to learn many things and we need to find many ways of fighting them. Some of the most difficult ones, we found certain ways of dealing with them, and other more easy ones are very simple to deal with. But the ones that are very complicated and that cause the most damage to us as humanity are the ones that can adapt, the ones that change, the ones that are unpredictable and that we don't know how to deal with. Villains are diseases, and this particular villain that is the most difficult is cancer. Villains usually come from the society upon which they attack. Villains usually are members of society just like you and me that have developed some power, and they use this power for bad. Similarly, cancers come from cells of our body that were once healthy cells, but then have gone through some transformation to become a cancerous cell that can do a lot of damage to our body. Similarly, villains went through some transformation in which they gained certain powers, certain abilities. They realized what their goals were, if they wanted to gain money or power. While a villain's goals may be money or power, cancer's goals are to divide and to grow uncontrollably at the expense of our body, while the villain's goals are achieved at the expense of innocent people and cities that are hurt while the villain gets money or power. Now, these abilities that a villain develops that he uses to attack and to attain its goals, we can use against it. We can learn from these abilities and we can target them in order to stop the villain. Similarly, cancer learns to grow uncontrollably, whereas normally the cell growth is very tightly controlled in our body. Cancer has also gained the ability to move throughout the body. That is also normally a very controlled process. So these normally controlled processes in our body are unleashed in cancer, just like how a normal person's abilities could be unleashed in a villain. So we can target these unleashed abilities in order to fight the cancers, but the trick is some of these abilities are also used by normal, healthy cells. Just like how a villain looks like a normal person like you and I, it's almost indistinguishable from a normal person. Unfortunately, cancers don't wear capes. They're not obviously villains, they're not running out and flying, so we have to find ways of targeting just them. And by finding these differences between villains and humans, we can better understand both of them. So, throughout all of our fights with villains, we begin to develop more and more specific treatments for cancer, and thus we can learn from villains and we can learn about ourselves. Thank you.